1 week ago, AWS said, yeah, I don't want to work this morning. 40% of the global cloud computing market is what's supplied by AWS. It's caused a major service, internet service disruption.
God forbid you left your house without your key and you were relying on your smart door lock to let you when it was cloud-based, and you go to tap your phone against it, it doesn't unlock. And now you can't get into your house because the cloud is down. That functionality really needs to be local, because if you lose access to it, you don't want to lose access to your entire house.
What's going on here? What happened to my website?
The system is down, yo.
AWS goes down. One Vision is partnering with Sonos and the importance of power management. All that and more next on ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 506, recorded Monday, October 27th, 2025. Fragile Networks. This is ResiWeek, the weekly look at the residential AV industry. My name is not Matt Scott. I am Tom Albright. Better hair, older, and more gray in the hair. So, how are you? With us to talk about the residential side of the industry. First and foremost, I don't know who to start here because I'll piss off the other one, because one's from New Jersey and one's from New York. So I'll start with Mark, who's from the New York side. How are you, sir? Mark Feinberg, sorry.
I'm doing great. Doing great, Tim. I live in New York. I am from Boston.
But you live in New York. Yeah, so you are in New York.
I've been here for 25 years, so yes.
Oh, dude, at this point, you're I shouldn't say this. I'll get in trouble for this. You're not a New Yorker, but you're in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That is the way to put it. Right. That is the way to put it. And at least Matt has more hair than I do. Barely, but he does.
Barely. Look at us talking about the poor kid. He's not even here.
I know.
On the other side of the Hudson, Mr. Todd Puma, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm it's great to see you again. It's been a long time, and I got my cute wall friend over there on the other side. I don't know, but he's going to contribute. It's kind of nothing. Sorry.
And so it begins. All right. So speaking of not contributing anything, Amazon Web Services went down last week. Actually, a week from this recording, we're recording this on Monday the 27th, 1 week ago. AWS said, yeah, I don't want to work this morning. 40% of the global cloud computing market is what's supplied by AWS. It's caused a major service, internet service disruption, including smart home systems. Let's run down here. Well, Josh AI was impacted, Overseas, Control4, Arachnus, Ring, and this isn't home theater, but, also Snapchat was impacted, which, really irked my 19-year-old. But what this has highlighted is, hey, maybe let's not put all of our eggs in the whole cloud computing basket, which leads us into something else, which we'll get to in a second. Mark, I'm going to start with you. Both of you were, I am certain, got a number of notifications, either from your customers or from your services. When you look at this, and you were looking at it last week, on Tuesday or Wednesday, as you're kind of doing a debrief, what were a couple of things that you guys took away from it? Not just you, but also as a company said, okay, what can we do to maybe mitigate this if this happens again, or how do we safeguard our clients?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't have that much of an issue. I got inundated with alerts from Overseas, but it was easy to turn those off once I realized they were all kind of false alerts. I had a couple of clients. Really, the only thing my clients will notice is that if they are at all using voice control with Echo, they don't have that. And if they are trying to access their home remotely through the Control4 app, they don't have that. Okay. Everything else they want to do, they want to control their lights at home, use their touch panels, they want to watch TV, as long as the streaming service is working. Everything was working for them. So I only got one or two messages from people. It was very minor impact on my day. So I think I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing.
All right.
I'm not going to rely on a ton of cloud services. I'm going to keep it as local and in the house as I can.
Absolutely. Todd, same kind of question. Is when you're looking at this from your clients and from your perspective, what did this make you kind of rethink, and what avenues did you maybe explore?
Well, this wasn't the first time this has occurred with AWS. I believe a few years ago, something similar has occurred. But back then it was a little bit worse. And as Mark was saying, is the customer base, the hardest challenge that I had is actually preparing the email and to send it out to the customers and express what is happening, because what always happens from there is then they talk about other issues that you didn't know about that they've been experiencing. So it was like literally a trickle down effect that just kind of opened up new doors and also closed some doors that annoyed me. But with the whole experience is like, we can't rely on one server, but it's not our decision, right? It's not like we could sit here and say, you know what, I'm going to this or I'm going to that. You know, the manufacturers have made this decision. The question is for them is, what are they going to do moving forward? Like, if this happens a little bit longer a period of time, and now, you know, people aren't able to get out to the real world, what can that do to our business in automation? You know, the cloud server is pretty much everything. You know, Crestron deals with cloud server. Control4 deals with cloud servers. You know, Ubiquity, Josh AI, like you stated before. And that's actually the funny thing is I realized the issue was happening is when I woke up in the morning and I was talking to Josh and he didn't want to talk to me. So I immediately started crying and I asked him what is wrong. And, you know, I have been seeing Siri lately. So I thought maybe that was some kind of, you know, relational issue there, but there wasn't. And that actually helped me to kind of get my day started and to deal with, you know, the customer base phone calls that are going to be occurring within the day. But nothing, like you said, Mark, kind of, if I didn't send out an email, I don't know if I would have heard anything at all.
I'm going to pull on a thread here that this situation caused me to rethink a little bit. Let's call it the subscription model currently, in not just the industry, just technology overall, right? I've said this before. AVNation is a longtime Adobe house. You know, we use Premiere, we use, you know, Photoshop, we use Audition, the whole bit. And when I started AVNation, I was able to purchase the actual product and load it on my computer. And, you know, I bought it once every couple of years and this, that, and the other. And yes, I'm sounding like an old man, and that's fine. But today we pay a monthly service, right? We pay a monthly fee. Have we gotten to the point where we are so reliant to a negative extent, not just for our customers, but also for our industry, on these cloud services that we're paying a monthly premium for, we're paying a monthly subscription for, to where we should be looking at ways to say, okay, that's a nice to have, but good Lord, just like Mark was saying, you know, his customers, the majority of them, they have product, they have gear on site in their home, and for the vast majority of them, their systems were fine. Do we need to start pulling back some of these monthly stuff and some of these cloud stuff? And again, redesign our systems to where the vast majority of what we do and the functionality, critical functionality, is left in the home for so the homeowner can make sure that their systems are working regardless of what happens on the internet.
That's a great point. You know, right there alone, Tim, I wouldn't even thought about an angle. It's kind of about, you know, you're being forced to disconnect versus building a plan to disconnect from the digital and go back into the analog era. It's as it's going through my mind while you were speaking, I'm thinking about the products I offer, and a lot of the products, unfortunately, are kind of everything is streaming based. You know, even to turn on, say, an Apple TV, or, you know, go into the Sonos to listen to music. You know what we have a 2-channel stereo system and a record player and a DVD player directly to a television. You know, that's really what or a Kaleidoscape, I believe, or are they all cloud based now? I'm not really sure.
No, Kaleidoscape, everything downloads locally, so that would still, Kaleidoscape is still in a game system. Well, it depends. Game systems are mostly cloud-based.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, you can't. You the vast majority. There are a couple of gaming systems that you can play in the cloud, right? And those are
right. But most of the time, you're downloading
the
game from the service, right? So if you have the game, if you've downloaded it in the past and it's a game you play, you can't play against others, but you can at least play.
It's funny what this whole situation has brought out, because recently in my market and where I've been kind of going is a lot of the people I work for, you know, they hunt, right? And it's changed. I changed from working primarily in New York City to working more South Jersey. And with that came a new point of knowledge for me, right? I had to understand the shoreline a little bit better. And also I had to understand the people that I'm working with. And a lot of those people are disconnected, right? So they use basically transitive radios. You know, they kind of stand back because when they're hunting, right, what do they have? They just have literally themselves, whatever is with them, and the people that are around them. They really can't get on the phone and just start chatting with people and, you know, utilizing cloud-based services to find out, you know, what the exact shot is going to be between, you know, whatever they're hunting, and obviously from where they're at. That opened the doors to different things for me. And first of all, it's like, during the times where we're constantly hearing, I'm watching, on Instagram, oh, we need to rely on walkie-talkies just in case the phone lines go down. We need to have, packed storage just in case this happens. And why I'm saying this is not for, fear of what's going to happen in the world. Just internet is so fragile, right? The services that we have is extremely fragile, and we could lose it at any time. So at this point, I think it's if for a good business owner, we need to come up with a contingency plan just to keep our customers entertained, right? It's our job, and to also keep our customers moving, no matter what that is. If they can't get out to, whoever they're going out to trying to communicate with, but at least they could have tools in order to get everything prepared, emails or whatever else it may be, for when they go back and they are reconnected, right? Because people don't use phone lines really anymore anyway. And even the phone line services are disconnected.
Yeah, and Todd, not just to keep them entertained, but to keep them safe.
Great point.
We're talking about lighting systems, we're talking about security systems, we're talking about camera systems. These are all, we're getting into more like life safety type of things at this point in our careers.
Right.
So, that's even more important.
Yeah, that life safety part, Mark, is really kind of where my brain eventually went, right? Yes, it's annoying that you can't get on Netflix or whatever, right?
Right.
But dude, there are there's a couple things here. Number one, if you really want to scare yourself, go online and start researching the United States power infrastructure and power grid.
That's what I've been
It'll
researching.
keep you up at night, right?
It has.
So we've got a fragile power grid. We've got a reliance. You could make the argument, an over reliance on cloud infrastructure and then the internet in general. Mark, again, a little bit what I asked Todd. Have we gotten to the point where we need to pull things back and go, okay, the cloud is for nice to haves, right? But good God, we got to have critical infrastructure in the house, hardwired, right? And if you want to change the color of your touch panel, you can go out to the cloud for that. But everything else is, it's right there.
Yeah, one of the articles I was reading about this talked about how people were, God forbid, you left your house without your key and you were relying on your smart door lock to let you when it was cloud based, and you go to tap your phone against it, it doesn't unlock, and now you can't get into your house because the cloud is down. You can't enable or disable your security system. Like, those are types of things that functionality really needs to be local, because if you lose access to it, you don't want to lose access to your entire house. I mean, I sort of have a similar mentality when it comes to lighting control. I don't do a lot of purely centralized lighting control, because if something happens to the processor, I don't want a client to not have lights in their house all weekend or something. I do a lot of, at least one load in every room is locally controlled by wired directly to a keypad or a dimmer on the wall, so they can have local control of at least one light in every room.
Yeah, hybrid systems are the way to go. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I call it too, is a hybrid system. And I think that's kind of the general term. And I think this is the same thing. You can have a hybrid with your mission critical equipment needs to be local, it needs to be always on, and your nice to haves, like streaming. I'm not going to replicate. No, very few clients of ours are going to replicate Netflix or Apple TV Plus at home, right? Maybe the few with Kaleidoscape will have a big library, but other than that, no one's going to have that. You're not going to replicate that.
As we end this up, my Tim's dumb system and is this. I have a garage door opener, right, at my house. Mm-hmm. I have a battery backup for that garage door opener, because if we lose power, which happens from time to time here in the Midwest, between storms and tornadoes and stuff like that, I can still get into my house, right? My garage. That is first of all, that's probably the smartest thing I have in my house. I don't have a whole lot of stuff, but that to me that's the equivalent, right? There's a hard wire somewhere, and there's a backup for that hard wire, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's take a look at our friends over at Sonos and One Vision, both really cool places. They have announced a joint initiative that offers account credits to qualified Sonos dealers to fast track the deployment of premium 24/7 programs. Now, the move is aimed at shoring up the service ecosystem for the high-end home audio and serving as a growth lever for integrators looking to scale ongoing client care operations beyond the point of sale. Todd, start with you on this. I looked at this article and I'm like, oh, that's very nice of Sonos, right? Big fan of the team over at OneVision, have been for a number of years. Who is benefiting most here? Is it OneVision? Is it Sonos? Or, optimistically, is it really the customer, the end user?
The customer never benefits from anything. It really comes down to both. I think OneVision and Sonos are benefiting. Number one, Sonos has proven themselves over the last many updates that they can no longer properly even build software, let alone support their customers. So another manufacturer coming in or someone who understands the service industry like OneVision is going to help them to do a better job and also help to keep our customers calm. Those Sonos phone calls that wind up occurring is I wasn't a believer of Sonos. I started offering Sonos because Mark over there is a huge Sonos fan and he believed in it. He's built a successful business on implementing Sonos into his system. So kudos goes to him for that. But for myself is I've always been optimistic, but also a little bit concerned about Sonos for this point alone. Is as the custom integrator, while we had an issue, they were like, it is what it is. This is what happens. You guys should understand that's part of doing business. But they didn't only hurt us. They actually hurt the customer, the end users as a whole. Now, by doing that, has also built awareness for the clients on, are we really going to continuously support this Sonos system? Is this something that we're going to want to implement and put it into our whole home? It helped me to use my tools in order to sell against Sonos, which is a good thing because I've been waiting for that moment for a really long time. Now, when I'm selling against something, I don't like to talk about, if a customer is supporting a brand, they come to me with a brand, I really don't want to discourage them. Yeah. I want to implement it and kind of build a hybrid between Crestron and the Sonos system because it keeps everybody happy, right? Because it's not only always about the audio part of it. There's lighting control, shading, security, and the list goes on and on that the customers don't think of off the bat. But if they're comfortable with the audio side of it, let's keep them comfortable. Now with OneVision coming in there, you get a little bit of an incentive. I think that's great for Sonos because you sell more products. Also by helping out your clients by keeping them more secure about this issue that ever occurred, and they'll also be able to have more of a service related and especially an expert on the other end of the phone. Parasol is similar to them, but Mark, do they offer that service with Sonos, or they offer everything, right? It's like an overall blanket.
Yeah, Parasol offers everything OneVision does. I think their big difference in their business models is that OneVision, if you're a dealer with OneVision, every one of your clients, you're paying for every single one of your clients to be on the OneVision platform, whether that client is paying you or not. Parasol, you pay on a per client basis. At least that's what it was when I explored this 5 years ago. I don't know if OneVision has changed.
OneVision also helps. I believe they assisted with the website as well. These points from Crestron. I believe that's the manufacturer that we worked with. Yeah. They actually put in a whole bunch of videos on my website. So OneVision is great. I support them. I think what they're doing for the industry is great. I think that having them and people like Parasol, I think we need to have more companies like that. But
was that one Firefly? Maybe?
Oh crap! Yes, sorry.
That's what I thought.
Thanks for
confusing the various service platforms, but that's okay. One Firefly is great. I'm, big fan of.
I want to make sure Ron got his props. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for correction. I appreciate that.
Mark, same question is who's the person benefiting here?
I'm actually not sure how Sonos benefits that much from this in terms of sales. Again, it provides that peace of mind that Todd was talking about. I think OneVision benefits because the Sonos dealer base is pretty big, and it gets a lot of those dealers an opportunity to get onto the OneVision platform and at a little bit of a discount. I'm not sure. The partnership is a little odd to me because you really can't support Sonos remotely. You can't. Maybe Sonos has given them more tools to do remote diagnostics and get better remote support, and that would be great if that's the case. I also think it's going to benefit dealers who now take advantage of this and are able to create a successful 24/7 support program that they can offer to their clients, and they can have some recurring revenue and have some better and have some more security and stability for their business. And I think that's a possible win there. Having that stable recurring revenue stream is critical, especially during downtimes, to know that there's at least some income coming in, and also to know that your clients are being supported, especially small shops like me. I mean, I have 3 installers, but I am the sole point of contact for my clients. If I'm on vacation, if I'm on a 9-hour flight, to Hawaii or something, and something happens, if you're not on a support plan with me, you're on your own. So I think, we do have support plans. So clients have that 24/7 support. And I think it is a win for the clients in that way, that they're not beholden to the availability of 1 or 2 people when it's a smaller shop.
Does it a little bit of I mean, because Todd's not wrong about Sonos proving that they can't. Well, they haven't been able to do a good software piece. But no, seriously, and does this help them in that aspect? Right, it gives them and the folks who have had, let's say, a bad experience or a not great experience with Sonos in the last 18 months. It gives them a warm, fuzzy feeling and a little bit of security, like a security blanket that says, "Oh, somebody who knows what's going on actually has my back on this."
I think so, possibly. I think the dealers who were really burned and really felt awful about it.
Well, not just the dealers, the users too, dude.
Yeah, right. But this marketing isn't targeted at the users. The dealer has to sell this to the user, right? Right. The user's not going to know about this partnership. And I don't even think the user knows in the end, other than the dealer is offering 24/7 support. It's not branded OneVision, it's branded the dealer, I think, when the user calls in.
Well, no matter what it's branded, they're always going to look at us anyway. Like Sonos happened, it came to us.
Right, but even the dealers want that warm and fuzzy feeling. I think the ones who were really put out by Sonos have either gotten over it, mostly, or they found a different solution. They were like, "This is it. This was the sort of with Todd. This was the last straw. I'm out."
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I don't think this is going to get those dealers back into the Sonos fold, because they've now invested time and effort and and research and development costs into a new platform.
I don't think never is the word to use, and I would love to say Sonos is done, but unfortunately you can't say it. I'm wearing their headphones, so are you.
As am I.
But I think that with a brand like that, where the customer's coming to you and saying, "Hey, listen, I would like to put Sonos in my system," right? And you're against Sonos, you can't. We have to accommodate at some points. Yes, I built my business where no is more commonly used than yes, but that's only for the customer's benefit. Now, when it comes down to Sonos, like, we can't just keep on saying no. Like, we're not going to do that. Could you? Yeah, but why push and alienate a client for over something? You know what I mean? Like, it's going to bring people back no matter what. Sonos is itself, it doesn't need any help. It's going to bring people back. No matter if you're a deal or not. If you don't want to sell direct, so be it. Then don't make no margins. Sell that product, deal with all the headaches, and make no money. Yeah. Fine, go for it, you idiot. That's all you are.
If you bought it by through distribution, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Be that stubborn, lose money.
It's not worth selling it.
Yeah, there's no point. It's something. At least it's something. It's $1 and cents.
Tell me how you really feel, Todd.
I can't do that. That wouldn't be appropriate.
I was not going to do this story, but we've got like 5 minutes left here. I do want to pick on it because of something we talked about in the last story, and that is actually the United States electrical grid. According to a recent report in CE Pro, residential power management solutions have evolved far beyond just surge protection, thank goodness. Includes regulation, conditioning, energy storage systems, all the good stuff, driven by homeowner demand for reliability, electrification, and quite frankly, getting off the grid, right? There's a whole big movement depending on where you are in the country. I know here in the Midwest, certainly out west, big movement to put solar on your house, on your apartment, wherever. Mark, I'll start with you on this. When we look at this, suddenly your customers, maybe not your customers specifically, but the residential customer is asking for you guys to know something about power, right? And right. I know enough to be dangerous, which is you don't put the fork in the outlet. That's about it. But you guys aren't, for the vast majority, most residential dealers are not electrical engineers, right? Very few of them have double E's. You might employ electricians. You might have electrical side of your house. You might just say, you know what, I've got a great partner, and this is what this is who I use for this. How do you have that conversation with a client that's like, you know what, I want this and this and this, and oh yeah, by the way, I want to make sure that if the power goes out, we've got backups, we've got generators that flip over, and all this jazz to make sure that my home AV system doesn't go kaput.
I'm sort of closer to where your knowledge base on this is, Tim, mainly because I'm in New York City and generators and backup, and real true backup power is not allowed.
Okay.
You cannot have
At all?
You can't have a Tesla. You cannot in New York City. You cannot have like a Tesla Powerwall. You can't have a generator. Even if you have your own townhouse, you still can't have it. So there's zero market for me for this. So I really don't keep myself educated on it. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be much help to you on this one. But we do a little bit of UPS. That's about it. And even the power is so clean in Manhattan, I don't even really need a UPS.
Oh, you're lucky then, dude. Yeah, it's dirty everywhere else.
Yeah.
Todd, same question.
With the power grid and everything that Mark was saying in New York City, that was always a challenge. But I've always hopped back and forth between, not only New York City, but it would work in the suburbs of New Jersey as well as other parts of New York. Power has always been something that's been a concern for us, is because, number one, if something goes offline, how are we going to get it to power up properly, and also how are we going to protect our equipment? As the years went on, even Mark, we kind of touched on this briefly earlier today, is there was a couple of companies that were offering it, way before, like power management. I forget the one company, it started with an A, that offered it before anybody was even talking about it. Like, they had a power management tool that basically it would show you how your power is being used. You could delegate power to certain areas and always keep, control of your own personal grid.
Oh, it was like something you plugged into your panel, and then you had like an outlet at each appliance or something. I sort of remember that.
That's correct.
Yeah, I can't think of who that was.
Yeah, they used to be a software company. They are a software company, but they worked with Crestron, and they would integrate back and forth. Great company. And that's what I kind of touched on, is like, wow, how I paid no attention to it then. And now we're in the point where I need to pay attention to it. It's kind of the same situation would happen with the AWS, is we really don't pay attention to something until there's a problem, and then we learn from it. That's how I learned everything. Nobody else caused the problem for my customers except for myself. And then I learned how not to do that again. And I try to communicate it with others on what I made the mistake with. Now, with this being said, is in this area where I work now, is the electricians are in charge of all that. But my son is actually an electrician now. He went to school, passed, and I pick his brain based upon, like, different situations I'm having. Like with racks. A lot of the time, starting off on the pre-installation is we didn't put enough, not us, but the builder and electrician didn't communicate to put 40 amps of power. Now, we didn't realize that would be an issue until we had an issue, and then we put the battery backups on. We would ask the client to put in generators and make other investments, which did overall help the experience, which anything with power is going to help the experience, especially like with amplifiers. I've always been cautious of, power with grounding issues and things like that. So I've always utilized what I learned here and brought it into my business. And I'm still learning what's going on over there. Most people aren't using amplifiers anymore. They're using everything digital, so it's like little pedals that emulate. But we can't do that in our Crestron systems or our home automation systems. We're utilizing a lot of power, and we're constantly beating it down. And we need to make sure that the tools that we have makes us understand that. Wattbox is a great tool. It gives you the basic understanding. It also helps you with the reboot the system. But over in the long run, is it stopping you 100% with all the dirty power that's coming in and preventing it from actually putting more wear and tear in your products? People don't realize that every single time a shutdown happens to the product and it goes down as a hard stop, when it comes back, even though it's back online, it did cause a little bit of issue. Once it surges through that chip, it might have almost fried something out. So the next time something occurs, right, maybe you unplugged something from the rack by mistake as you're doing a service, and now it's not working. We need to realize that whatever's occurred prior to, because of what we didn't deliver on the product side of things, is going to be a cause and effect of what we need to fix and we need to own, right? Just because we're not educated doesn't mean we shouldn't own what has occurred once we find out that the cause and the root cause is us, because we weren't going into systems like this, and we weren't concerned about, dirty power. We've been talking about that since I was at Best Buy over 20 years ago, selling Monster Power.
Circuit City.
Yeah, Circuit City. That's another one I worked at as well. And, that was all we talked about, the upsells. But we talked about it as bringing in more revenue. But we really didn't sell it as it should have been sold is, how are we going to help the customer based upon the products they're purchasing here to keep those, the longevity of the product lasting for a long period of time. That wasn't a concern. It was all about upsells and attachments. And it's funny because all those years we're selling it, I learned so much, but I didn't really retain it at that point.
Guys, that'll do it for us. Mr. Mark Feinberg, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
I'm old school, Tim. Best way is mark at hometheateradvisors.com or check out my website at hometheateradvisors.com.
Mr. Todd Anthony Puma, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
They could connect with me at todd@thesourcehometheater.com as well as my website at thesourcehometheater.com.
All right, very good. I'm Tim Albright. Don't follow me anywhere. It's not very interesting, especially since my Bears lost the other day. So you can check out our website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others, including the actual show that I usually do on a weekly basis, looking at the commercial side of the AV industry. So all that and more at AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. That is all the time we have for ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's Estate of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control programming and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out Estate of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.